Man, this is harder than I thought. Hi, local goober and critical dipshit here with a video about Helluva Boss's tone and flow issues in Season 2 and how they did it better in Season 1. Season 2 of Helluva Boss is almost halfway out, and it's received some mixed reception from quite a lot of fans. Episode 1 was a slower look at Stolas' background and a little peek into Blitz's as well. And while it was pretty well organized for the most part, I think, it felt like it dragged its feet a little bit. It didn't end up progressing anything, but it did give us a deeper, more concrete look at how the nightmare with those two began. I think the slower pace actually works pretty well for the show, though, because it winds us down from the climax of Season 1, Episode 7, and Episode 8 having come out recently to help serve as kind of like a victory lap for this first show's season doing so well. We also got a little bit of a look at the direct aftermath of Episode 7. Season 2, Episode 2 shows a bit more of that aftermath with a focus on Octavia and the echoing down of daddy issues. The second episode of the season feels a little on the slower side too, with the drama focused towards the beginning and end of the episode, which worked really well for just about every episode in Season 1. But there are two main exceptions to that sort of loose rule of putting the drama at the beginning and the end of an episode. Those are episodes 6 and 7 of the first season, which has a great blend of drama and gags that end up complementing each other and flowing from one to the next really smoothly. The jokes sort of stay in their lane in those episodes and help complement the serious moments, as well as wind us back from some particularly intense bits. A great example of what I mean is the truth gas scene with the bad trip. It starts off with Moxie and Blitz admitting outright lies and outing some of each other's baggage with jokes laced in to help keep it lighthearted until the trip, which is where they just let it rip on one another. It ramps up the seriousness as Moxie's Phantom of the Opera hallucination sets up a doubt club that Blitz gets hammered with in his own hallucination. Moxie's main flaw is turned around on Blitz, who has the same doubt issues but masks it pretty well with rampant toxicity. But as we've seen, his solution to the doubt and sense of unworthiness is probably what's hurting him more than anything. I think that scene does a wonderful job because it plays out without any interruptions, letting the heavy hits string into one another smoothly before ramping back down with a return to Moxie's trip. I think so far it's my favorite scene in the whole series because it takes Blitz's issues and throws them right in his face with the trip. The drama hits its peak and then it backs us down gently and flows nicely from one scene to the next before giving us the visual junk food of that great fight scene that follows. Then we have Episode 7, which sets up more of Blitz perving after the M&Ms, but it turns into a painfully awkward situation with Stolas that we get a little bit of relief from thanks to Moxie's song. In the middle of that relief, Osmodius comes in and Blitz stands up for his employee, and the disaster begins as Stolas and him get outed. After some of Blitz's rough love life is aired out, we return to Moxie's song, and there's not a single joke thrown. There's just a stark contrast to look at between Moxie and Millie and Blitz and Stolas. But we don't get let down gently this time like in Episode 6. Instead, there's a firm gut punch given to really drive home what just happened. Now back to Season 2, we have Episode 3, which has notably choppy flow. The best example I have of how Season 2 Episode 3 jumps from joking to seriousness on a dime is during the dinner. Chaz is insufferable as he's meant to be, and then comes Crimson's intent to marry Moxie to Chaz. About 20 seconds later, the very on-the-nose gay gag comes, with Blitz being distant comedic relief, followed up by a string of flashbacks and a very clear threat from Crimson. And back and forth it goes like that, from drama to jokes, pretty rapid fire, and to me it feels like it kills the tone and makes the flow very choppy. And I should know choppy, I'm doing it right now. It's a little bit confusing to me to see them struggle with this though, because they did an amazing job in Season 1, blending the drama and the jokes. Then they slowed it down a little bit with the opening pair of episodes for Season 2, and apparently just forgot how to blend things together. Episode 4 has much of the same, launching into Stolas being kidnapped and him being pretty aloof and calmly explaining what sounds like a pretty sketchy situation. However, it fits his character pretty well. But he does outwardly wonder if he's actually in danger, which sets up a potentially scary scenario. Then in comes the B-plot to break up that tension with the musical number afterwards to sweep that broken tension away. The tone flops around and the flow feels choppy again. Once we get back to the episode's main focus, we see that Stryker's lair contrasts his introduction to Season 1 pretty badly. I say badly because he feels a lot like a parody of himself compared to the Season 1 Stryker that we saw, especially with that statue. Doo-doo. Thankfully, this threat that Stryker is meant to represent ramps right back up, but the earlier tension's already gone. They do a great job at blending some good wisecracks from Stolas into Stryker's attempt to intimidate and torture him, though, which, while it does diffuse the situation in a way that feels pretty organic and represents the characters well, it kind of leans into that issue of the tension building up and then breaking and then building up and then breaking again and again and again. That feeling gets exasperated by the jump back to the B-plot over at the vet. Fortunately, Andrelphus advising Stella right after fits in well, and puts us on edge as it's left up in the air whether or not the hit would be called off in time.
Exacerbated. Not exasperated, exacerbated. I'm having a moment.
I think the fight that follows after is pretty well done, and the gag of Moxie weaponizing Stryker's disgust to turn the fight around on him is a solid idea. Then comes the end of the episode with a wonderfully delivered final line. But it feels a little bit odd when you think about Stryker's introduction, because the Imp crew already knows that he has angelic weapons, and that angelic weapons can actually hurt just about anybody in hell. But it does show that Blitz genuinely cares for him. No obfuscating or deflecting this time, just raw feeling. With episode 5 coming out recently, I think they found their footing again when it comes to tone and flow. It's a bit of a return to the initial idea, too, as the episode revolves around a job. The drama is focused on the beginning and the end of the episode, with a chunk of it near the middle. That chunk starts with Moxie tripping over himself, and Millie helping to reassure him. Then comes the blow-up that finally shows some cracks in Moxie and Millie's relationship. It's handled wonderfully and runs on what we've seen from them already, helping partially explain why Millie has had very little genuine focus and development so far. And we're let down gently after that, just like in Season 1's best episodes, in my opinion, with a mix of jokes and wholesomeness before the confrontation that was set up in the beginning of the episode coming to a head in the shed. One of the better recent musical numbers, paired with a smaller scale, nicely choreographed fight with some jokes that land really well laced into it, make for a great end of the episode, I think. And there is a detail I've seen a lot of people either miss or confuse when Barbie's drug runner throws that packet at the three of them. Their pupils get nice and big, which is something that uppers do, like cocaine, whereas Barbie is said to be trafficking heroin. So either that's not heroin, or human drugs have a totally different effect on demons. Back on track though, the fight concluding with Blitz finally getting a word in edgewise with Barbie, followed by a hard shutdown, is pretty painful to watch. But it does show that whatever he did in the past was catastrophic, or at the very least was perceived as unforgivable by Barbie. And finally, to finish it off, we're shown some more M&M sweetness before it goes a bridge too far and leads us out of one of the better episodes in my opinion, once again showing that they have found their footing. I've been feeling pretty iffy about Season 2, like a lot of other people, but Episode 5 alleviates most of my worries. I think we have plenty of more good stuff to look forward to from the Spindlehorse crew, and I wish them the best of luck. This much looser and very visually different style is definitely an experiment for me. I hope it worked out better than it feels like it did. Let me know below. I'm happy to discuss anything in comments, any ideas, so on and so forth. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the jazz. Thank you very much for watching.